The Anglican Church and the Presbyterian Church are two historic branches of Protestant Christianity, each with distinct theological emphases, liturgical practices, and church governance structures. While both trace their roots to the Reformation and share many core beliefs, their differences highlight the diversity within the broader Christian tradition. This article will explore the origins, theology, worship practices, and governance of these two denominations. Origins and historical development. The Anglican Church emerged during the 16th century as the Church of England, separated from the Roman Catholic Church under King Henry VIII. This separation was initially driven by political and personal reasons, but it soon evolved into a theological and liturgical reformation. The Anglican tradition is rooted in the English Reformation and shaped significantly by the Book of Common Prayer and the 39 Articles of Religion, which articulate its theological framework. The Presbyterian Church, on the other hand, has its roots in the Protestant Reformation in Scotland. It was heavily influenced by the teachings of John Calvin and John Knox, who emphasized a systematic theology centered on the sovereignty of God and the authority of Scripture. The Presbyterian tradition is closely associated with Reformed theology and the Westminster Confession of Faith, a key doctrinal statement for many Presbyterian churches. Theology. Theologically, Anglicans and Presbyterians share a commitment to the authority of Scripture, belief in the Trinity, and the centrality of Jesus Christ for salvation. However, their emphases and doctrinal formulations differ in notable ways. 1. Sacraments. Anglicans recognize two primary sacraments, baptism and Holy Communion, while also honoring 5 additional sacramental rites, confirmation, matrimony, ordination, reconciliation, and unction, as sacramental, but not on the same level as the first two. They believe in the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist, though interpretations vary within the tradition. Presbyterians also affirm 2 sacraments, baptism and the Lord's Supper, but they interpret the sacraments as symbolic acts that convey grace through faith, reflecting a Zwinglian or Calvinist understanding. 2. Authority and tradition. Anglican theology balances scripture, tradition, and reason, often referred to as the Anglican triad. This approach allows for a range of theological perspectives within the Church. Presbyterians adhere to the principle of Scripture alone as the ultimate authority in matters of faith and practice, with confessions like the Westminster Confession providing a subordinate standard. 3. Predestination. Presbyterian theology, rooted in Calvinism, strongly emphasizes predestination and the sovereignty of God in salvation. Anglicans generally do not place as much emphasis on predestination and tend to adopt a more moderate or varied approach to the doctrine. Worship practices. Anglican worship is known for its liturgical richness and use of set prayers and readings from the Book of Common Prayer. Its services are characterized by a blend of scripture reading, prayer, preaching, and the sacraments, often with a strong emphasis on reverence and beauty in worship. Presbyterian worship, while also structured, is typically less formal and more focused on preaching and the exposition of scripture. Simplicity and a focus on the Word are central, reflecting the Reformed tradition's concern for avoiding any practices perceived as excessive or distracting from God's glory. Church governance. One of the most significant differences lies in church governance. The Anglican Church follows an episcopal system of governance, meaning it is led by bishops. This hierarchical structure includes archbishops, bishops, priests, and deacons, with a strong emphasis on apostolic succession. Presbyterians use a Presbyterian form of governance, which is characterized by leadership through elected elders, or presbyters. Decision-making is shared among local congregations, regional presbyteries, and broader assemblies, emphasizing collective discernment and accountability. While the Anglican and Presbyterian traditions share foundational Christian beliefs and a heritage from the Reformation, their distinct approaches to theology, worship, and governance reflect different responses to the challenges of faith and practice. Anglicans value a liturgical and sacramental tradition with a broad theological spectrum, while Presbyterians prioritize the authority of Scripture and a systematic theological framework rooted in Reformed principles. Together, these traditions enrich the tapestry of global Christianity, offering unique expressions of the faith.